Hello, so it's been a while since I recorded one of these, but I'm going to bring something very useful, hopefully, very useful to you. 6 ways of dealing with trigger foods and kind of like binging and craving, that sort of thing. Okay, so I took this idea from Precision Nutrition. They're fantastic, loads of different things I use from them, to be fair. But I thought I'd actually explain it a wee bit more over voice instead, because I always feel that's the easiest way for me to communicate, because I talk shit all the time. And there's the first swear word within 30 seconds. So I'm not gonna hang about. I was trying to figure out the polite way of saying that. I'm not gonna hang about. So number one, if you're having trigger foods, like you got trigger foods, so things that you want to eat and that you know you can overeat very easily. They're things that you'll have 5 packets of crisps, you'll have a large bar of chocolate, just something you find you have no control over. So the first thing here is individual servings, okay? And basically time between servings. So if you're someone who's like, well, I eat a big bag of chocolate, so say those big bag of buttons, the big multi-share ones that none of us ever share because, we don't, stop buying those. Buy small packets of buttons. And I know the first people's response is, well, I'll just eat 3 or 4 packets of them. That's absolutely fine. But this is where I'm a bit blunt with this. You have to be a bit of a grown-up if you want to lose weight and lose body fat. It's like you have those small pack of buttons and you sit there and you enjoy it and you take it for what it is. You don't then go and think, fuck it, because I've got 6 of them, I'm going to eat 6. I know that's easier said than done, but you do have to kind of sternly talk to yourself. Be like, I've had some buttons, I can have 2, and that'll be maybe 100 calories, because they're not that many, not that high in calories, they're not 100, 200 calories, and just leave it at that. And if you find you're someone who cannot just have the one little pack of buttons and then move on with your life, that's absolutely fine. That is valid. Then do this. So every time you have an individual serving, okay, of something, you then have to put a timer on of 5 minutes. All the 5 minutes is doing is creating distance between you and your emotion and your feeling and craving, essentially. It's not going to stop you eating it, but it's going to give you time. So in that 5 minutes, don't just sit there and think, I want to eat it, I want to eat it. That's like lying in bed and saying, I want to go to sleep, but usually you don't end up going to sleep. Instead, 5 minutes, go and do something else. Go tidy, go make a cup of tea, go do something you need to be doing in the day. Take your mind off it and then assess it in 5 to 10 minutes time. Do you still want it? If you still want it and you feel like you'll benefit from it, by all means have it. But just accept that that was a decision and it wasn't out of, I wasn't in control. Okay? This is how you gain control essentially with your cravings. So that's your first one, individual servings. The second one is environment or trigger foods, keeping out of sight, out of mind. This is tricky with kids because obviously naturally we buy chocolate bars and stuff like that for the kids. But one thing I noticed with a lot of parents, I do it myself as well, is that we buy their snacks and treats and stuff like that, but at the same time we'll then go and buy our own. So it's like you've bought the kids stuff, but then you go and buy your own stuff as almost like a permission because I bought the kids stuff, I need something for myself. Try to not do that. Try to just buy the kids stuff. And I know some people are more well off than others, but here's a little thing I used to always share from my childhood. Marcus Rashford actually said this story as well, and I laughed so hard because I thought it was only me as a kid. So imagine you're buying, say, a pack of chocolate bars, and there's 7 chocolate bars in there, say Kit Kats. That's 1 for every day a week for one of your kids, for example. And I remember I did this with yogurts as a kid, and if I had more than 1 serving of that yogurt, I knew there was a firm smack around the back of the head coming, be like, Callum, that food has been planned out for the week religiously. You cannot take that next one. It ruins the week. And I know that sounds extreme, but it's like you had to stick to the amount you had for the week. So 1 is a money-saving tip, but 2 is quite a funny one because it's like you're buying for a purpose, if that makes sense. So when you're buying the food to the kids, buy it for them and plan how much they need rather than just buying it shed loads, because if you buy shed loads, you then also give yourself the permission potentially to take some of their food, for example, if that makes sense. So that's one way of keeping it out in the house, but out of sight or out of thought. The other way is, so out of sight, out of mind, in terms of environment. So if you leave biscuits, if you ever seen that Family on Gogglebox, if you ever seen biscuits on the table, you're more likely to sit there and while you're watching TV, be like, oh, fuck it, I'll have one while it's there. Nothing wrong with that, but you're more likely to. Whereas if you had a bit of fruit, you're more likely to grab a bit of fruit. It's not saying you have to have fruit on the table, but it's saying where it's positioned. If you have a common snacks cupboard, and I know everyone does, here's a simple thing. The food that you always find yourself hard to not overeat on, put it in a different cupboard. Because what you're doing here is breaking the habit cycle. The habit cycle is basically something that's triggered you. You then do an action to seek a reward. So something's triggered you. You're sitting down watching TV. I usually grab a snack now. You go to the cupboard and then you grab the food and you get that little sense of comfort. By just disrupting that slightly and having it in a different cupboard and being like, oh, fuck, where is it now? You give yourself a few seconds to be like, oh, wait, I don't actually want it. Or if you do, you accept that as I want this, and then you move on with your life. Does that make sense? Again, there is nothing wrong with having them, but you need to make sure it's a choice, not a case of, fuck, I had no control. So again, putting something in a different position or different place is a way of giving yourself time. And again, cravings and emotional eating is a lot to do with time and stuff like that. So that's your next tip. So trigger foods out of sight or budgeted for kids, so you can't have too much yourself, or putting them out of sight or out of the usual location. Number 3, so this is the big one I do, because I'm an advocate for having things you enjoy. I don't like a lot of saying don't eat this, don't eat that, unless you're doing a really hard shred, like you're doing like a 6-week, try and get in shape sort of thing, which I don't think is sustainable. But if you want to go on holiday and tone up a wee bit extra hard, that's absolutely fine. They're short term, but it's not a long-term way of living. Excuse me. So rather than subtracting away from your diet, oh no, I'll take that chocolate bar, oh no, I'll take that out, think about adding. And my best way of saying this is pair a couple of things. So I'm going to send this out to my clients in a few days' time, a snack guide. So essentially, there's 3 ways of doing snacks, in my opinion. So protein plus plant, which is basically a protein-based something with a bit of either veggie or fruit. So that could be 2 Baby Bells and an apple, for example. So you've got 10 grams of protein, the 2 Baby Bells, and then you've got your apple, so protein and plant. Another way of doing that is some reduced fat hummus, which has got some good protein in there as well. It's not massive, but again, it's a snack. And then maybe with some carrot or cucumber sticks. That's one way of doing it. Again, you're adding. Another way of doing it is protein and fat. So let's take my Baby Bells again. You maybe have a handful of nuts with them. So whether that be walnuts, whether that be almonds, whatever you like, that protein and fat. Okay, that's one way of doing that. That can be a yogurt with some peanut butter, for example. And the last one I do is something you want with something you need. So I always say have 200, 300 calories every day for something you have no judgment over and you just want to have. So one of my clients loves the Yorkie bar. He has a Yorkie bar every day. When I used to cut for competitions for kickboxing and jiu-jitsu, I used to always have a crunchy bar every day because they're 149 calories and I fucking love crunchy bars. But I'd often say have something you want with something you need. So if you're going to have a bar of chocolate, and again, if you find it hard to stop yourself eating from the big bar, stop buying the big bars and start buying those individual bars. Again, we're pairing 2 things now. Buy the individual bar of chocolate, okay? And again, maybe you go buy them every time you want them rather than buying a multi-pack. Get the bar of chocolate that you want, for example, and then maybe have a bit of fruit with it or a bit of veg with it, something like that. So something you want with something you need. Very, very simple, but again, you're focused on adding things in. Plus, those things you add in typically will fill you up a wee bit more. So you get the satisfaction of enjoying the food, which is what we look for, because it's not just food, it's actually something we enjoy, as well as having something that gives you nutrients, so vitamins and minerals, but also fills you up because of the fibre. No distractions. So number 4, no distractions. This is one I've vouched for quite a lot of. So a lot of the time, again, the TV is very common for this, and we're all guilty of it, and it's not a bad thing. You're allowed to eat when you're watching TV, but think back to the cinema. How many times have you had a freaking load of popcorn or something like that, and it's already gone before the film starts? It's because it's right next to you, and you're just eating it, and you're engrossed in what you're watching. We all do it, but because of that, you've consumed food without thought, which means, 1, you probably haven't enjoyed it as much because you actually haven't thought about just enjoying the food, but 2, it's just so much easier to put it into your mouth because you're not aware of it. So if you're someone who struggles to stop themselves overeating and regularly binges, regularly craves foods, and has a hard time of not overeating as much, stop having your snacks and your treats that you enjoy at times where you're not paying attention. Sit down in the evening. Some people might sit down in the bath and just relax in the bath, have a wee bar of chocolate. That's absolutely fine. Other people might just sit at the table and then just have a bar of chocolate there. Again, I say chocolate because it's just one thing that's quite common. This can be crisps as well, by the way. Again, just set an environment for 5 to 10 minutes that you eat what you want and you're just like, enjoyed that. Because most of our enjoyment of our food is ironically the anticipation of having it. Those first few bites are the best. The more bites we have, ironically, it doesn't taste any better. The first few bites are always the best. So just remember that. Number 5, so comfort yourself in other ways first. This one's quite a tricky one. This is one thing I want to make sure it's really clear. All of this stuff is, you actually have to put effort in. And that's not a dig at anyone saying you're not working hard, but to break habits of overeating and eating when you feel out of control, you have to put effort and be aware of what you're doing. So this one is a case of, we know that eating can be emotional. So when we're having a stressful day, we reach for food and it tastes good. So when we're stressed, we reach for the food and it tastes good and it comforts us because we feel better because we've had something we enjoyed. Is there another way you can soothe yourself? Can you chat with your partner? Just have a fucking moan and bitch to them. Everyone loves a moan and bitch. Everyone loves it. Can you put on a TV program you like and just switch off a wee bit and just kind of do that? Do you want to scroll through TikTok? Do you want to read a book? If you want to be a bit more actual thought process driven about it, do you want to maybe journal it? Like, how am I feeling right now? Like, how am I feeling? I'm pissed off. I'm stressed. I'm tired. That's why I'm craving food. And so maybe rant in your journal. Another one, weighted blankets. Weighted blankets are fantastic. There's lots of research actually around them, how they can actually reduce anxiety and stress. So if you haven't got that, maybe that's something for you to try as well. But yeah, comfort yourself in another way first. I remember one of the suggestions on the post originally was actually playing with a puppy. Fuck me, if you've got a puppy, play with them. But you know what I mean? Like, find another outlet before you reach for the food. And again, it would create time and space between you and your cravings. All right? And then lastly, number 6. So study your eating. And that sounds like the most boring one in the world, but this is actually the one that will make the biggest change ever. And I always relate back to the fact that if you don't believe it works, is I was someone who had a borderline eating disorder. I used to make myself sick a lot when I was younger because I was scared of getting fat. I was scared to eat more and everything like that. And I was under 60 kilos when I should nowhere near been that weight. And now I'm about 84, 85 kilos. But that took about 4 or 5 years to break that cycle because I realised you had to educate yourself. You had to study your food habits and actually learn about gaining weight and learn about how to gain weight and learn about how much I have to eat to actually gain body fats and so on and so forth. And if you haven't heard it before, the general rule of thumb is you have to eat about 7,000 calories for a pound of fat. Was it 7,000? Or was that kilo? Sorry, 3,500 pounds. 3,500 pounds. 3,500 calories. Jesus Christ. Overeat 3,500 calories for a pound of fat. Or if you want to do a kilo, it's roughly 7,000. That's over your maintenance. So say if you maintained weight at 2,000 calories, you'd have to eat 2,500 calories every single day for a week to gain a pound of fat. So when you get an increase in pound, it doesn't always mean it's body fat. Very rarely is body fat unless it's over a long period of time, say 4 to 8 weeks. So just bear that in mind. So in terms of studying, like I said, notice your cravings. And I call it, this is labeling. So if you've ever done any counseling, therapy or anything like that, you might be familiar with this sort of thing. Again, I'm not claiming I'm anything like this, but this is where this practice comes from. When you're craving food, when you're craving sweet stuff, notice it. And it sounds silly, notice it. And literally be in your head, be like, oh, I'm craving food. Okay, label it. I'm craving food. And then why, the what and the why, basically. What's happened? Has anything happened immediately? I found out some bad news. I've had a really rough day at work. I'm really tired. I've stayed up later than normal. And then why? You know, that what happened? Sorry, that was probably why already. So the what. The what is the craving. The why is the why you're craving the food. So again, sit there and be like, okay, I'm actually craving food. And just have that moment to think about it. Why might I be craving this? I just really want something. Okay, that's fine. Is there a way you can do that aligns with your goals? Yeah, okay, do that. If you say no, why do you have to go to that extent? And then also think about the consequence. After you have this overindulgence and like these cravings, how will you feel? Again, there's nothing wrong with going out, for example, and overindulging, enjoying more food than you need to. We do that. That's part of life, and that's fully acceptable, and you still can lose weight doing that. However, if it's one of those ones where you're out of control and stuff like that, it's like, well, what will I feel afterwards? I'll feel shit. I won't feel very energized. I'll feel sluggish. Okay? That's not to make you feel guilty, but that's to say, okay, well, maybe I won't have as much because I won't feel that way. I'll enjoy my food, and I won't get the negative consequences as well. But again, you're accepting you made a choice. You're controlling that. So 6 different things there. So just a quick recap. So I want to keep it short and sweet. Individual servings. Don't buy multi-packs or don't buy big things that are left open that are really easy to keep snacking on. Trigger foods. Keep them out of sight. Keep them out of mind and ration them like so you do for the kids. Adding rather than subtracting your foods. No distractions. Comfort yourself in other ways first. And lastly, study your eating habits. I did a podcast that is useful in under 15 minutes. Fuck me, unreal. But hopefully that was useful. If you found it useful, please, what do we do these days on some podcasts? Is it subscribe? Yeah, subscribe, follow, whatever the fuck it is. Do you know what? The best one you can do for me actually is share it, because if you share it, it's passing it on to other people who might struggle. And I know everyone who's tried to lose weight struggles with this. So this is a really useful one to do actually. And as always, if you're sitting there listening to this and think, fuck, it's actually been quite helpful here. Obviously, I'm a coach. I'm an online weight loss coach. My primarily work with women. Usually most women are between the age of 30 to 49. Typically, that's what I work with. I do work with a handful of men as well. So yeah, if you're someone who's like, shit, I actually want to get in shape and look after myself a wee bit more and kind of look after my eating habits, and it's not about shredding. It's actually lifetime, long-term weight loss. We're not just here to fucking cut you for 6 weeks and piss off, We're actually trying to help fix some maybe bad habits you picked up over the years or bad coaching you've received over the years. So if you're someone who's serious about that sort of thing, feel free to get in touch. DM me the word podcast. Let's make that nice and easy. A little clickbait there. Click link there. So DM me the word podcast. At least I know what you're talking about, and I'll get in touch there. But yeah, just have a little think about that and let me know if you found these tips useful. I'll speak to you all very, very soon.